Welcome to this edition of Huntley Hope. Maggie, we have an amazing show, and I would probably encourage you to get some tissue because it's emotional and it's powerful.
Absolutely. The Vietnamese-born peace activist Kim Phuc is the living symbol of the suffering of innocent war victims. Her image of being burned by napalm during the Vietnam War raised worldwide awareness of the horrors of the war and made her the bearer of the message of forgiveness, reconciliation, and tolerance.
In 1994, she was designated by the UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador and has spent much of her life promoting peace. And to this end, she founded the Kim Foundation International. She is amazing, and you got to talk to her.
I had the privilege of sitting down with the legendary Kim Phuc. Yeah. Here's our conversation. It's an iconic picture known around the world. And as the old saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, the girl, now woman, in that picture has more than 1,000 words to share when it comes to that fateful day that this photo was taken and the tumultuous life she has lived since. Kim Phuc, it is an honor to meet you today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
When you look at that picture, what do you think today, years later, what are the thoughts that go through your mind?
I'm just so thankful for that picture.
You're thankful?
Yes, because that picture became the great gift for me now as a grandma and as a mother. I just so thankful that picture became my powerful gift from God. You know why?
Why?
Because myself, when I saw that picture, I never thought any child should not suffer like that little girl. And as soon as I became mother, I hold my son. I say, how dare I let my children suffer like that? And that's why I really dedicated my life to work with it for peace.
Wow, that's a huge statement to make when you think about all of the pain that you've gone through. You've just documented that so well in your new book, Fire Road. And you start off talking about this beautiful life that you lived, a carefree life as a child, playing with your friends, climbing trees. And then all of a sudden things changed. Viet Cong came in. They actually took control of your home. Your family was well off. What was that like as you saw the change in your childhood, where carefree life to all of a sudden surrounded by war?
As a child, I didn't know anything. But when I became adult, and I just thinking, wow, what a life. And the war just destroyed all things, And I didn't know what I had to say, and we just really survived day and night. And my family, myself, we just tried to live as a normal life. And it's a very difficult to deal with.
Yeah. June 7th, 1972 is the day everything changed. We alluded to that picture. Take us back to that day and what happened.
I remember in June 8, 1972, as a child, as a children, we just allowed to play around the bomb shelter. All of us hiding in the temple. They call Cao Dai Temple. And my mom, my family thought that is a holy place, safe place. So we were okay in that. But in the wartime, no place is safe, right? And then we hiding in the temple for 3 days. And I remember on the third day, we had lunch. When we finished lunch, and then we were stay with the Vietnamese soldiers. They protected us there. And so when they saw the color mark drop inside of the temple area, that means they would drop the bomb. That means the temple was going to to drop the bomb right there. And so the soldiers yell for us, the children, because the children always run faster, right?
Yes.
And so they say, we have to run, get out of this place, because they want to destroy all of us. So they let the children run first, and then the adults run behind us. And I was the one in between the children and the adults. And I just turned 9 years old, right? And when I just remember, I got in the front of the temple, and then I just saw the airplane towards to me so fast and so loud and so close. And I just stood right there. I didn't run. And I turned my head and I saw the 4 bombs landing down. I never forget that. And then I heard boop, 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 boop. Then suddenly the fire everywhere around me. And of course, the fire just burned off my clothes. And I saw the fire over my left arm, and I used my right hand. I just did like that. I whacked it, and that's why I got burned here too. And so at that moment, I thought, oh my goodness, I got burned. So I became ugly. And so people can see me different way. But at the same time, at that moment, I was terrified. I knew I got burned. And then I thank God that moment my feet
Did not.
did not burn.
Yes.
So I was able to run out of that fire. And then I saw my brothers, I saw my cousins, and some soldiers, South Vietnamese soldiers, they kept running with us. And I ran for a while, then crying, and my brother the same thing, crying. And then for a moment, when I was so tired to run anymore, I stopped on the road, and I saw so many people in the front of me, and I cried out, too hot, too hot. Then there was one of the soldiers, he gave me some water to drink, and he tried to help me.
Yes.
He poured the water over me.
But that was the wrong thing to do.
I have no idea, but that moment, I
Caught on fire again.
yes, I lost my consciousness. I passed out, and I didn't remember anything. It
in
looked
the
bad, but it's good for me. For me, I think I passed out. I didn't feel any pain, and that is help.
In the midst of that, your little cousin, who you had almost become a mother to, had also died in that bombing.
I lost my 2 cousins. They are brother. One 9 months and another 3 years old. And the 3 years old, his name Yan. He was my favorite cousin. We always played together. And as a 3 years old, he couldn't run by himself, but the soldiers carry on him. And we were at the same spot, the same place. We ran together that. But the soldiers couldn't. The thing is, the soldiers, he wore the uniform,
Yes.
army. That's why when the napalm touched him, just burned to death. And my cousin got burned so badly, and the soldiers threw him on the street. And my grandma, she just missed that fire. She just behind us. Then she run over, and then she saw my cousin on the street, and she picked him up, and she kept running another way. But then I am in the middle of on the street, and that happened.
In the midst of all of this chaos, your parents lose track of you. They don't know where you are. You've been taken to a hospital, and you actually were put into the morgue. They thought you were dead. Your mother finds you, and your skin is rotting because you've been in this morgue for days.
No, 3 days.
3 days. And they find you, they pull you out, you're still alive, and the doctors are able to help you and to couch you back and to be able to rescue you, essentially. After how many months were you in the hospital before you were able to go home?
I stayed in the hospital for 14 months.
Wow.
And I went through 16 operations in that time. And my last operation in Germany in 1984, I had total 17 operations.
17. Wow. You return home and you don't have any friends. People have almost just signed you off thinking, you know, Kim is covered in scars and covered in wounds. And you go through a bout of depression. You're depressed, you almost take your life.
Yeah.
Tell me about that time.
In the hospital time, I felt like I was normal because everyone have something and end up in the hospital. And I think it's normal life. Then when I went home, my life was beginning. Because just me. I got burned and I got horrible scars. Not only scars, but I endure a lot of pain. And I couldn't concentrate, and I couldn't, you know, to bear the heat where I came from.
Yeah.
Hot and hotter.
Yes.
And with that scars, and it's a horrible time for me. And then I expected all my friends can come to play with me like before, but as soon as my best friend, Han, she came, and I forgot all my scar. I just opened my arms
Yeah.
and received her, but she stood from far away. She just looked at me. She didn't move, and she looked at me, and that act is tell me I'm different. I'm not like her anymore. It's really hard for me to deal with. In love, you know, I unlove. I am different, and it's the same. My thought when I just got burned. People look at me different way, and that's not easy to deal with. Believe me, I got very nightmare and trauma most of the time. Scary.
Well, we're going to return with Kim Phuc. As the world watched the Vietnam War from afar, Kim unknowingly became the poster child of communism. Her life was altered forever. Every move was dictated, but no one, not even Kim, saw what would happen next and how her life would be transformed forever. Stay with us.
Maggie, just so transfixed on that, that interview. And we're going to hear about the spiritual journey and how she came into a relationship with Jesus. And I mean, she powerfully proclaims the gospel.
Absolutely. And if you appreciate hearing Kim Phuc's story and so many others, we just want to thank you, first of all, for those of you who are supporting Crossroads. And if you're not yet a member or a supporter of this ministry and all the things that Crossroads entails, meaning our missions department, our prayer lines, including this very show, we would love for you to become a supporter today. Watch this.
God's love is like a fire. When it ignites and when it spreads, it can transform anyone.
I called 100 Huntley Street the prayer line, and that was a real turning point in my salvation.
We serve a God who can take the ashes, the broken pieces of our life, and he can make something beautiful.
I said, God, if you're this real, I will do anything that you want me to do.
God's love story can inspire anyone to make a difference in the lives of people around the world.
We are very sure, we are very optimistic about our future because we know we will plant, we will have water to drink.
You become influential by setting a new pace. The gospel is timeless.
Every single person has a story, but we're all part of God's greater story, which is the greatest story of all.
And as you just said on that promo, it is the greatest story. And one of those amazing stories is our sister Kim.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your support. Now, right now, we continue our conversation with the UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador, Kim Phuc. We are back with Kim Phuc, who in 1972 gained global attention when she was photographed, her skin on fire, a victim of napalm bombings on the streets of Vietnam during the height of the Vietnam War. So Kim, we've gone through this devastating day when you were attacked in a group of your family, and you unknowingly become the child of communism, the poster child of communism. Somebody shows up and all of a sudden you're whisked away to media, and you take on this new persona, traveling all over the world, being this representative for Vietnam and for communism. What was that like? That was a difficult time.
Yes, definitely. It was a low point in my life. The thing is, I was in the school. I want to become a doctor. And I was a normal life, living normal life like everyone else, ordinary girl. But suddenly they rediscovered me. I was that little girl in the very famous picture. Then the thing has happened. They can use my picture, but it's good they let me be alone, fulfill my career, my dream. But then they started to using my life for their propaganda and all the things that I couldn't go to school anymore. My dream gone, my hope. I lost my hope. And how can I live with that? I really hopeless. And it was so hard for me. When I was 9 years old, I got burned physically, suffering. But now I was 19. I just about fulfilled my dream, and then I lost my dream. 19, I thought a lot. And I just didn't understand what's going on with me. How can I deal with that? I just no way to turn around to ask for help.
You were taken all over the world, interviewed by countless media, representing communism. And then, but there's a part of you that is trying to find meaning for your life.
Yes.
You get very involved in Cao Dai, as you said, and that religion, that faith. But then you meet a pastor or a minister who you start talking to and asking questions about Jesus.
The first thing that when I met the pastor is later on.
Okay.
But the first thing that when I couldn't go to school anymore, and my time just involved in a lot of interview, filming, and you know, the deep of my heart, I want to become a doctor. How can I do with that? That's why I just, in my heart, I just want to understand, to know what the purpose for my life, why I still alive, why I have to suffer like that, and why me. And even I was really devoted in my religion, Cao Dai. I pray to many gods. What they name on that, on the list, I pray for. I worship them. But deep down in my heart, I just had the question, where are you, God? Why that is you let me suffer that much? I didn't do anything wrong. Why me? And I had a lot of why. Whys. Why me? And I wish I die. Because at that time, I thought after I die, no longer suffering. But when God didn't call you, it was hard to get into that point. He's not finished with me yet. And because of that, in my heart, I just want to seeking the answer. And so many years, and then finally I couldn't go to school, and I spent my day's time in the library.
Yes.
And I dig into the religious section, and then I just had looking for reading so many books, religious books. And among the books that I read, I found the New Testament. And as soon as I read just a few hours or 1 hour a day, I dig in there and I read, and then I got out. And, and then when I read the New Testament, of course, the more I read, the more questions I had, because I didn't understand. And then when I got into John 14:6, when Jesus say, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man came to the Father but by me. And I say, what? Why he say that? I was really confused. My Cao-Dai religion is true, or Jesus say is true? Which one is true? And how can I do? I really confusing. And then I not stop right there. The more I confuse, the more I want to seeking the true. It's a true. How can I believe? And then finally, God just led me in the way that, one day I was in the backyard of my sister family, my sister house in Saigon, and I look up the sky with all my heart, with all my voice. I just asked, God, are you real? Do you exist somewhere? Please help me. I need your help. Then I imagine one picture. I want God answer my prayer. I really want to have a friend, just one friend, who I can talk to, who I can share with my burden deep of my heart. And then God is so real. He answered my prayer. And then the next morning, I went to the church nearby my sister family, nearby my sister home, and I got into that. God answered my prayer. I found the lady sit down in the middle of auditorium, and I was so scared. But that is I pray for. And then it's a long story, but short. We became friends, and she's the one that God brought into my life in that moment, in that time, and showing I am real. And after that, I kept going to church to learn more, and then in Christmas time, in 1982, I became Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ because I heard the message from the pastor. He say, Jesus came to the world and died on the cross for everyone. If everyone opened his heart to Jesus and accept Jesus as personal Savior, and then Jesus will come into his heart. Jesus bring peace and take away any burden. After I listen to that works, I say, yes, Pastor, you spoke to me. I really need that peace. I need someone come into my life and take away my burden. It seemed I wanted to give up. I couldn't move on anymore. And then from that, I stood up. That moment, I went to the altar and I opened my heart and I accept Jesus Christ as my personal Savior right in Christmas time in 1982. And you know what happened? I stopped worship too many gods, but only one God through Jesus Christ. And the more I pray, the more peace I have. It's just wonderful. It's just amazing turning point in my life.
And your life continued. You were disowned by your family for a while because they just could not accept you accepting Jesus.
Exactly.
You moved to Cuba. I mean, this book, wow. Like, you have lived an amazing life, Kim. You moved to Cuba, then you defect to Canada with your new husband. You are now a grandmother.
Amen.
You have 2 beautiful sons. Your
Thomas
husband is
and
very
Stephen.
handsome.
Thank you.
And you shine just the light of Jesus. And that's what I love about just meeting you. You just, this beautiful smile, and beyond the scars, beyond the pain that you have suffered, you continue to just share Jesus and hope and peace. You have your own foundation now. Tell us about the Kim Foundation and what you're able to do.
Because I have a dream to help others. And I want to make that dream big. And I want to keep that dream alive. As you know, I couldn't be as a doctor, but now through the Kim Foundation, I can share my story. I can help children around the world who are victims of war or who are underprivileged. So our mission, we want to build the hospital, the school, or orphanage home for children. They can have, they can, have a life changing.
You're also the ambassador of UNESCO. Your life continues and continues, and thank you so much for being just honest and authentic and sharing such painful parts of your life. But at the end, we see this joy, and we know that you are joyful because of Jesus today.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. What an amazing, amazing story. I hope that Kim's story has really resonated with you today. If you're going through pain, suffering, if you feel like Kim had felt depression, rejection, know that there is a Jesus. The Jesus that Kim spoke of is available to you as well. Our prayer partners are there, ready, willing, and able to pray with you. The number's at the bottom of your screen, 1-866-273-4444. Call them today, and they would love to offer you the gift of hope. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
She's quiet in the way she talks, but she is a powerhouse, and you just barely touched on many of the things in her life. Fire Road, the book.
Yes.
You read it?
Oh, amazing book. Please do pick up Fire Road. Amazing, amazing story. We didn't even get to half of it. In a commemorative ceremony for the Vietnam War in Washington, as she was delivering a speech, she publicly forgave the soldier that dropped that napalm bomb on Vietnam, on her that day. And her family has come to know the Lord. All of her family has. She has grandchildren now. I mean, Kim's story is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
There's so many aspects to it, but forgiveness being one of those key things, and we just now see how the Lord has used her in a powerful way. I've heard her speak publicly. She proclaims the gospel. She says things that I don't think I could get away with, at least amongst a non-Christian audience, and she certainly has power to tell it. And thank you for that wonderful interview, Maggie.
Oh, it was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching Huntley Hope. Have a great day.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a member of the Canadian Council of Christian Charities. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R 4M2.